Good afternoon, I'm Dilip, Thakore, editor of EducationWorld.
Good afternoon, I'm Summiya Yasmeen, managing editor.
Now in the July issue of EducationWorld, we have focused on the new education policy draft of the Kasturirangan Committee, which has been 2 years in the making. It's a 477-page report.
Prepared by an 8-member committee.
Of academics. It's important to state.
Yes.
However, while the policy is comprehensive, it deals right from pre-primary education all the way up to higher education.
Adult education.
And
it has made some important recommendations on adult education.
Yes. Then spans the entire spectrum of education, and it's made some good, intelligent recommendations for administration and dividing up the functions of education authorities at the school and collegiate level, and separating the powers of regulation, operation, accreditation, and so forth. Unfortunately, the weakness of the policy, as recounted in our 13-page cover story, is that it hasn't consulted private sector educationists.
Yes.
Neither has it consulted
anyone from the industry.
From industry who use people who are coming out of the education system.
Over 40% of India's children, now almost 50, are enrolled in private schools. So it's a glaring omission that the committee hasn't consulted a single representative from the private sector.
No, they've consulted, but they're not included in the drafting committee. They have consulted a few people from, 1 or 2 people from industry and a few people from the private sector, but not any of the big names in private education, such as Shromi Das or Dr. Sumer Singh or Dr. Geeta Kingdon, who are all experts in education. And given that almost 60%, if you add if you are a private budget school, of all children and private education, it would have been a useful thing if they had also given their recommendations on how to upgrade and improve Indian education. So unfortunately, this has not happened, and therefore this is the policy has come out as too dependent on government regulation.
Correct.
When in fact the need of the hour is to reduce government supervision and control of education, and particularly of private education.
Correct. In fact, disturbingly, the draft committee suggests greater control of the private sector. They have recommended something known as the State School Regulatory Authority.
Yes, which will also fix the fees of private education, which is a hot potato subject right now. And unfortunately, even the middle class who send their children to private schools are in the forefront of the agitation for lower fees. They can't seem to understand that you can't have first world education at third world prices.
Yes.
And simultaneously, neither does the government understand the logic that they should improve government schools and leave private schools alone.
Correct. But on the credit side, we must say that the National Education Policy draft has made some very important and I think very good recommendations for higher education. One is they have suggested the creation of large multidisciplinary universities and the abolition and the slow winding down of the affiliation system, which has been also a long demand of education world. For instance, Bangalore University has over 600 colleges affiliated with this. This is just an unwieldy number.
Exactly. And they've also made a good recommendation that all programs, whether in technical, medical, whatever, should have 1 year of liberal arts education, so that people come out with a well-rounded higher education.
Correct.
So all this is in our latest issue,
which is titled "More Government, More Governance."
Yes, and also you can check out our pictorial essay.
Yes.
Last month we awarded India's top private higher education institutions.
India's top 100 private universities, private B schools, private arts, science and commerce colleges, and private engineering institutions. So in Bangalore, this event was held in Bangalore, and we had over 250 of India's top vice chancellors, deans, promoters, of India's top 100 private higher education institutions which have assembled and gathered in Bangalore to celebrate higher education.
Well, that's about it.
Yeah. And before we go, I also strongly recommend that you read our ParentsWorld cover story, which is titled "Is Sleep Deprivation Holding Your Child Back?" Unfortunately, what's happening in the new millennium is a lot of millennium parents are sacrificing children's sleep at the altar of academics, co-curricular and sports education, as well as, there's a lot of technology obsession. So in this story, we've quoted and we recommend that parents, it's inadvisable for parents to do so because it can be counterproductive. So we highly recommend that you read both Education World and ParentsWorld July 2019 issue. And you can also read us online on educationworld.in.